Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to the Sunday services at Center for Spiritual Living, Denver. We are a loving and prospering community in the heart of Denver and online. We now conduct hybrid services at the historic Grant Avenue Community Center and Sacred Place, located at 216 South Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. All are welcomed here. A place, space, and face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles that enrich our lives. We are grateful that you have blessed us with your presence. While online, we'd love to know you're watching with us. Feel free to leave a comment and let everyone appreciate you. With everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. CSL Denver wants you to know we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for personal prayer work. Our licensed spiritual practitioners' names and phone numbers are available on our website at csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, feel free to email it to info@csldenver.org. For your convenience, you'll find clickable links in the description of this broadcast. Rev Elzia, along with all our guest speakers, practitioners, service coordinators, and musical inspirations, want you to know how truly grateful we are that you are with us today. Thank you for your continued support and participation in our services, workshops, and events, as well as providing financial contributions to our center. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Sign up by visiting www.csldenver.org. We deliver services in a hybrid format where we meet in person at 216 South Grant Street. We will also continue to live stream all services on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday. Find us on our respective channels as well as on New Thought Media Network. Again, thank you for your precious attention. Now prepare for engaging enlightenment.
There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden where God's grace blooms. There is a garden where everything grows, a beautiful garden where love is sown. And in this place of light and love, you can have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. light and love. You can't have anything that you're dreaming of. There is a garden where dreams come true, a beautiful garden. That garden is you. Such a beautiful garden. That garden is you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, that was beautiful music, beautiful garden, just in that presence. I'm Bill Carlton, practitioner for CSL Denver. I invite you to gently close your eyes. Take in a deep breath. Release all the negative emotions. Just be present in this beautiful world. We feel that oneness of God surrounding all of us and leading us to embrace the imperfections in our lives. We know that oneness is present in the message we receive, the music we hear, technical support of Reverend Elzia Diego, our producer, and I know everyone participating and attending this service is blessed. I am grateful and give thanks for all that has brought us here at this moment. As we release these words to the universe, knowing they return to us tenfold, and so it is. Gratitude and trust in abundance. When we believe in our own worthiness and abundance that surrounds us, we attract more positive experiences and opportunities into our lives. Our awareness of the oneness with the universe, our planet, and every blade of grass inspires, it guides us in the enrichment and expressions in our lives. Today, I recognize the abundance of life. I animate everything in my experience with this idea. I remember only the good. I accept only the good. I expect only the good. This is all I experience. I give thanks that this good is flowing in ever-increasing volume. I do not withhold this good from others, but proclaim that spiritual substance is flowing to each and every one as a daily support. By Ernest Holmes, 365 Daily Living. And a quote from Deepak Chopra: the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in this universe and in our willingness to give that which we seek. We keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. And now a bit of music from Susan Clark. Thank you.
Hello, CSL Denver. Susan Clark with you to say happy November, happy holiday season. And I am pleased to be with you again to do your music. And I just wanted to mention that one of the things I am grateful for, since we're into the season of gratitude, which actually every day is a reason for gratitude, but I want to say thank you to Spirit for leading me to you back in 2015, and you were still meeting at the 5 Points Theater, and I was your guest musician. I had already expressed an interest in the position of music director for CSL Denver, but I hadn't really decided if I could make that work. And lo and behold, you were having a board meeting in the little restaurant next to the theater, and you invited me in for a Q&A session with the board members about the position of music director. And I remember just kind of spinning around thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really putting this in motion. What's happening? And of course, you know the rest of the story. A lot of you do. I did take the position. I moved to Denver, and I was there for almost 4 years with you. And I'm thankful that that connection was made and that we still have a relationship. So, yeah, thanks a lot for your support throughout the years. And I hope you enjoy the music I picked out for you for the month of November. Okay. Signing off for now. Hello, CSL Denver, and a special welcome to anyone who's watching us online either now or later. We're very happy to have you with us as well. My name is Susan Clark, and I am here to provide the music for the service. I picked out a song by Richard McDeesey, and this song is called Attitude of Gratitude. I thought it would be a good one with the Thanksgiving season fast approaching. But as we know, it's important to stay grateful every day of the year for what we have and for what we can give to others. Alrighty, here we go.
For each new day, whether it's sunny or it's pouring rain, in any situation, time or place, my grateful heart creates a state of grace. I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of gratitude. Darkness taught me how to praise the light. Wrongness makes me hunger for what's right. Now there's not any place where I don't see heaven's blessings pouring down on me. Yeah. I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude. When Jesus fed the hungry multitude, he did it with a grateful attitude. But it wasn't until I gave up and I just got still. I could see the gifts I've been given. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got an attitude, I got an attitude, I got an attitude of gratitude. I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of Oh, thank you, God.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I'm trusting everybody has a little gratitude right now after that song. And their attitude is up and at 'em and ready to go. I first and foremost want to thank everyone for being here today and say good morning and welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. A spiritual community teaching universal principles and applying ancient wisdom to empower our lives and the lives of others. Now, you know, an interesting thing happened the other day. Someone asked me, why do you say that same old thing every Sunday? Caught me off guard a little bit. And I had to think about it when I look back to the original setting of this mantra, if you will. And this idea of being a place, a space, and a face of love is grounded in the divine being of all things. So when we talk about gratitude and being thankful, that is an act of love. That is an act of selfless giving to everything. And so when we begin to think about life in that way, in this way of love and gratitude and thanksgiving, knowing that it comes from the divine, you don't have to pay anything for it. You do have to do a little work, in not in the sense of you have to be worthy of it, but you got to do a little work to be in alignment with it and to be aware of it and to take hold of it. And so this month's theme is set on that idea, to anchor this idea of being a place, a space, and a face of love that is using universal principles and applying ancient wisdom, because this ancient wisdom goes through all tradition. It's not just us. You know, we get stuck. Most people of faith, unfortunately, I won't say most, I'll take that back. A lot of people of faith, moving close to much, how about that, are into this idea of it's only me, it's only mine. But God is for everything, everywhere at one time. And so this month, we have this theme of gratitude and trust in the abundance of life, in the gratitude and grace of life. So this idea of gratitude and trust is what we're going to anchor in for this month. And now today, we want to start off on a good foot. I mean, you look outside, you see the fall is definitely in the air here in Denver. It's got a little chill in it, still get a little sunshine, the colors are bright. But it reminds us, or it should remind us, or let me just say, it reminds me of cultivating abundance. This idea of cultivating abundance. Now, as I just indicated, when you look around the many colors and the many leaves, whether they're on the tree or whether they're in your yard, and now you got to figure out what to do with them, they are abundant, right? They are abundant. And as we begin to think about what that means, internally and externally, it's abundance without asking. It's abundance without any trepidations or any of that. So as we look at this idea of cultivating abundance, the first thing that we have to really sink our teeth into is, what is abundance? You can't have it if you don't know what it is. I mean, if I go to the store and ask for, a milkshake and they don't know what I'm talking about and they give me something else, it's not going to be the same. I need to know. So if someone asks me, or if I need to ask myself, what is abundance? I need to be clear about what that is. Now, the idea of abundance has nothing to do with material things. It is an aspect of abundance, but the idea of abundance itself has to deal with plenty. It's a state of mind. It's a state of being that allows us to look at any and everything in gratitude, in grace, and in abundance, meaning everywhere presence. We say that the spirit of the divine is everywhere present. Well, if it's everywhere present, that means right here, over there, across the water, up in the sky, it's everywhere present and it is abundant. Now, I guarantee you, you don't find anyone going around with little bags trying to catch air and save it because they don't think there is an abundance of air. We breathe and exhale with complete confidence that there's an abundant amount of air for us to breathe. An abundant amount of air for us to breathe. And the other part of that really, I think, sets the stage is the diversity of abundance. As we're talking about cultivating, I got out in my garden the other day and started prepping for the, winter. So I got out all the weeds and I started turning over the ground, and there was an abundance of worms everywhere. Now, some people may have looked at that and said, ugh. But when we understand this idea of everything working together for good, we understand that those worms are very much appreciated, and I want them to be in complete abundance, even though I might not like them. That's the same thing with us. Sometimes we get things that we don't like in abundance, and we want to get rid of it. But that's not what we're supposed to do, I suggest. I suggest that what we're supposed to do is understand the worms, if you will. Understand this thing that we don't necessarily particularly like at this moment in time, and figure out, what am I supposed to do with it? What's the gratitude behind this, right? And once we understand that gratitude is this physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect of our life, then we can begin about figuring out what to do, or am I doing the right thing? We can just be. Because we know that there's an abundance of energy, life, guidance, and understanding for us to move easily and effortlessly through anything that we may face. But now, once we've got an understanding of what abundance is, then the real work comes in. That first part of the statement, which is the cultivating. Right? The cultivating. Now, what is cultivating? Cultivating is this idea of putting things in place, in alignment, to remove obstacles, to enhance the quality of something, to be aware of what's available or what you have when you're doing a thing. That's what cultivating is. Now, everyone, well, I won't say everyone, but almost everyone has colorful, designs in their house, horns of plenty. And if they don't, as Thanksgiving come, they're going to have these displays to display the bounty of the land, the harvest, which is a sign of cultivation and abundance. But let's be clear. If I start planting today, the winter is not going to allow me to harvest because that's not the cycle of life. That's not aligning with abundance, with the universal principles that God has placed for all of us to be aware of and adhere to. Now, the key component of this cultivation thing is harmony. There is a pattern. There is a way of living that is in harmony with universal laws that just, it's kind of like a clutch and a stick shift. They just go together. And when they don't go together, life gets a little jerky. But when you can align yourselves with the universal principles of abundance, of love, of kindness, of joy. They used to have this commercial that things go better with Coca-Cola. Yeah, well, things go better when you align with these universal principles. I can guarantee you that, because I've had a couple of times where I tried to outsmart it or think I knew better. It worked for maybe 2 seconds. And then I found myself in despair and saying, how do I put myself back into alignment and begin to cultivate this idea of harmony, this idea of preparation, of removing obstacles, of making sure that the good, fertile soil, be that in my backyard, in your heart, in your mind, in your very soul, is cultivated and ready for the abundance that God has for us. Now, that's a question every one of us has to ask to ourselves. You don't need to answer to me, but you most definitely need to answer to yourself and to the divine. Are you ready? And if you're ready, are you willing? And if you're willing, are you able to do what's required? And when you can't do what's required, then you got to do what's necessary. Because sometimes the necessary falls out of the requirements. You ever got one of them IKEA pieces of furniture? And they got all the requirements there of what you got to do first. But sometimes something seems a little off, and then you got to do what's necessary to make the table stay up. Or make the chair be able to be useful. Well, that's what we have to do when we look at cultivating abundance in our lives. We have to be ready, willing, and able to align ourselves with this state of infinite supply. All traditions say that the divine creative source, by any name that has been given to it, has an infinite supply of infinite things. Some of them, we have no idea what they are. That's why every so often we'll see on Discovery or we'll see on the Nation channel a new discovery of something. They done found a new worm or a new virus or a new this or a new that. Because it's infinitely abundant from the divine. So we have the ability, we have the opportunity to take advantage of that. The question is, do you believe? Do you believe any of this stuff? Or is it just words coming out of our mouth? Because, as they say, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. But now actions require a little more effort. Results require a little more effort. And that's when we begin to really anchor into these teachings, these ancient teachings, based on these universal principles that cross all cultures, all time frames, all environments, that life by its very nature is abundant. And life by its very nature has to be cultivated. Because if it's not, it just sits there. And it goes, as they say, fallow. If anybody in here from a farming background and they understand the whole gardening thing. When that ground goes fallow, it's hard to work with it. The cultivation of it requires a little more effort. The making sure that all the ingredients of the moistures and the worms and all of that stuff that's needed to make that ground a safe haven for your ideas, for your thoughts, for your dreams, for your desires, requires a little more work. Now, I would submit right now, we're all dealing with a little fallow land as we look at these times of, I don't know, whatever they are, these times. How about that? How about just these times? Where we have all manner of things that we need to weed out, that we need to turn over and examine and look at and understand the relationship to abundance. Understand the relationship to how we plan to live our lives in accordance with universal principles that does not provide shortcuts. Now, there ain't no shortcuts. You can't, the pattern of growth is now in the fall, just before the winter, is to prepare the ground. Not for the winter, but for the spring, which is yet to come. You can't plant in the winter and expect to get a harvest. It's too cold. But if you follow the universal patterns of life, the cycle of life, it becomes very easy to cultivate abundance, to cultivate life. And so when we think about what we need to know, what we need to do this, I want to give three points that will allow us to put ourselves in the right relationship with the divine, with abundance, with life, so that we are assured. Because the divine said, if you follow these patterns of life, you are assured of results. It's not a question, it's an assurement. Now, the first thing, quite naturally, is to understand the laws and then align ourselves to the laws. That's the first. Without that, nothing else matters. Nothing matters. Because if I don't understand, I can't plant in the winter and expect to harvest in the spring, or see things grow in the spring and harvest in the fall. It's not going to happen. So I have to understand. And then I need to know that these universal laws create the characteristics, and it creates the very nature of what we do. The characteristics and the very nature of what we do when we start thinking about these universal laws, these universal principles. Because you think about it, when I go into the ocean, if I'm an oceanographer, there's a whole nother nature and culture that happens down there, and some set of laws that I need to abide by and adhere to than when I'm on Earth. When I was young, I became a scuba diver and was working on a project. And on my first, what they call checkout dive to get certified, we were out in the Pacific. I mean, we were out in the Gulf, and we were down there, and a little bitty fish. I mean, this fish was maybe 3 inches. It just came right up to my mask, and in a matter of a nanosecond was like 100 yards away. The first thing I realized then was I am out of my element down here. There are a set of laws and rules that apply when I'm scuba diving, when I'm under the water, that I better pay close attention to, or I'm not coming back up. Well, that's the same thing with our life. I got to understand the laws. I got to put them into perspective and know what to do when I'm there, so that I do get an opportunity to try again, to rise to the surface again. And the other thing is, when you understand the laws and you begin to align with them, you understand how to use the laws in everything that you do. You've heard me say it once, you'll probably hear it say it 1,000 times. There's the law of gravity, and there's the law of aerodynamics. 2 complete laws stand alone by themselves. But if I implement the law of aerodynamics, I can supersede gravity. We do it every day if we get on a plane. But the moment I reduce the amount of aerodynamics, that plane is coming down one way or the other. You can either reduce the speed and get back in harmony with gravity and let it bring you back down, or you can just completely forget the universal principle and it will come down in a way you won't be happy with. And that's what happens in our lives when we get frustrated, when we find ourselves in tight spots, when we find ourselves unproductive, when we find ourselves mired by fear. So the first thing we have to do is understand the universal principles and align ourselves with them for the greatest results. And if we look at this first slide, this slide here by Wayne Dyer, I think sets a real clear statement. Abundance is not something we acquire. It's something we tune into. It's already here. But are we tuning into it? Just like your radio, just like your TV, just like your computer on the internet. What are you tuning into? Because we understand and know, as it says in Psalms 23, first verse, it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This is what happens when we understand the laws and align ourselves with them. We don't have to worry. We don't have to worry. Look at the lilies of the field, it says. Look at the birds of the air. They don't toil. They don't fright or fret. They go about doing their things, knowing and trusting in the divine. And so when we begin to cultivate this, we understand that there are certain laws of cause and effect and circulation and correspondence and rhythm and all these different things that stand alone on themselves. But when you put them together, they begin to work in a magical, mystical way. And so once we do that, the second thing is you have to set intentions. And it's not just enough to set an intention. Then you have to take inspired action as well. Because setting an intention is good. It'll begin to cultivate the space. But if you don't take inspired action and continually pull the weeds and continually to water the plants or the seeds, you're not going to get any harvest. There won't be any abundance coming out of that land, at least not of what you hope for. And along with that clarity of intention and that inspired action, this one is rough. Well, it's rough for me sometimes. You will be held accountable. If I plant peaches, first and foremost, I'm gonna get peaches. I'm not gonna get tomatoes or apples. I have to get what I put in the ground, what I cultivate. But then once I put it there, there's an accountability that I have to bring forth to work with it, to continually remove the obstacles. So this setting the intention of I'm planting peaches because I like them and I want them in abundance. I'm going to water them because they take a lot of water. I'm going to give them good sunshine because they take lots of sun. And I'm going to have to work at it. Because if I don't, my clarity will not be what it needs to be to produce the abundance. Because I'm not cultivating, because I'm not sticking to the plan. I'm not planting apples and looking for tomatoes. So once we do that, and we understand this alignment, we look at this idea by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein says this: everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. That's what happens when we begin to align with these universal laws, and we begin to cultivate it. We begin to set intentions of how we plan to use them, and then we take the inspired divine actions to bring a thing about. When we do that, we all know what happens. It becomes. As a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is she. And as they continue to think, so shall they remain. And the thing that we have to remember when we're in this cultivation period is by the yard is hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Just one step at a time. I don't try to cultivate all the land and plant the seeds today and get the crop tomorrow. I just do a steady work at it, cultivate it. And then last but not least, the thing that we need is we have to have faith in the unseen and follow and trust the process. Ernest Holmes, our founder, used to say, you can't plant the seed today and then go back next week and try and dig it up and see why ain't no plant came up. There's a process that has to take place. There's a thing that has to take its time to mature. Maya Angelou, one of our great writers and poets, says, nothing will work unless you do. You can have the best of anything, the best of everything, but if you ain't working it, it's useless. It's just useless. So we understand that there's a process unseen that we must trust. And so we just work with it. We understand the laws, we align, we plant the seeds, we cultivate, and then we do the work, sometimes just sitting and being still. Sometimes it means turning the soil. Sometimes it means lifting out the weeds. But that's what it takes to cultivate abundance. The other thing that we need there is we have to release all the fear, all the worry, all the doubt. Because if you trust the process, I don't need to do that. I don't need to worry. If I got gas in the car and the engine is good and the oil is good, I don't fret when I go to start the car. I trust the process that it's going to start, or the light's going to come on when I flick the switch. Or abundance and joy is going to be a part of my life when I step into this place of cultivating it in my life. And so when we do that, we understand that timing, they say timing is everything, but I say they're wrong. Timing is the only thing. There is nothing else but timing. And when we can align ourselves with these universal laws, cultivating the spirit in our hearts, mind, soul, doing the work, setting the intention, and allowing the process to work in due season and in due time, we become the masters of the universe. We become the ones we've been waiting for, and we allow God to say yes to every aspect of our life. And so as we close, I would encourage everyone to remember the abundance in their life, the abundance of sales, the abundance of friends. Even if it's only two, it's an abundance if it's providing you what you need to grow, to expand, to create, because that's why we're here. And so as we continue to do that, I want to say this last thing by Ernest Holmes. This quote by Ernest Holmes, I said, sets the tone. We are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is flowing through us a creative something. Call it what you will. The thing that has life in itself. That's what we're working with. And so let's continue to use it and to cultivate and to make ourselves available to this spirit. And as always, we have these call to actions because we know that this requires work. This is a practice. And the only way you practice is you got to practice. And so when we look at the call to action this week, spend time visioning on what abundance means to you, because it's different to everybody. And once you've done that, also journal on all the abundance that appears in your life throughout the week. So you can begin to see how it shows up, what it looks like. Because sometimes you may look at something and think it's not abundance, but it absolutely is. Sometimes it's an abundance of problems, but but that gives you the strength to work through them. That gives you the insight to figure out what I did wrong. So let us go into prayer with this idea of cultivating abundance in our lives and being in the grand position to love, serve, and remember. And so let's take a deep breath. And so as we release all the heaviness of this talk, all the things in our mind that we're trying to wrestle with and understand, and just tap into that universal presence that is always there. That inspired action, that cultivated love, that movement in accordance with all that is good. We know that there's a power, a presence that is everywhere, that is helping and guiding everything in the universe. And so as we cultivate this idea, we continue to focus on this, we begin to see the results of the divine, of these universal laws, of how they work in our lives and the pattern and relationships of one thing to another. And we understand that all works together for the good and glory of God. And so we allow ourselves to be that very idea right now so that we continue to cultivate our hearts, minds, and very souls to be exactly what God created us to be. A reminder to each other, an awakening call to a friend, a helping hand to a stranger, to provide abundance and gratitude and pure grace in all that we do. And so right here, right now, I declare for everyone in this room, everyone that's online, and anyone that may hear this later, that we are coming together to do the mighty work. The work of cultivating an environment of love, of support, of working through anything that does not serve the greater good of all. And so it is in that work, it is in that thought, it is in that idea that I give thanks. I give thanks for the opportunity to show what God has given me, for you to show me what God has given you, so that we work together for the glory of good. And so with that, I just release this prayer into a law, a universal law, an ancient law that is always working, already working, and is doing its thing right now. And so I just release, I let go, and I know that it is absolutely so. And so it is. Amen. And so it is. Amen. And so we want to thank everyone. And there's an affirmation that we want to use here just to anchor this idea for the rest of the week. And so I am a vessel of the infinite abundance of life, flows in, through, and around me. We're always there. We're a vessel. And so now it's that time of sacred giving. And so we want to thank everyone that's here and continue to support CSL Denver as we continue to do the mighty work of cultivating a community that supports. And so if you look across the bottom of your screen, you'll see the many different ways we can give, whether you go to the website and click the donate button, or send it to the P.O. box, or use the text to give to the number you'll see rolling across. But however you give, please give. It helps us continue this message. It helps us to do work in the community, and it helps us to create a place where everybody belongs. And so if it feels comfortable and you want to anchor that giving in your life and follow our tradition, place your hand on your heart and repeat this blessing. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive, and so it is. Amen. And so it is. Amen. And so now I'm going to have Alice come up and give us some announcements, and peace and blessings.
Thank you, Reverend Elzia. Abundance, abundance, abundance. Right after service today, we will have some coffee and snacks, and then we can circle up and we'll have some meditation. And Reverend Elzia will lead us in an abundance meditation. And it'll just be a nice time to just center and just get quiet and just land in that space and that place that's there. And also mark your calendars for Saturday evening, November 16th at 5:30 right here. We're going to be showing the movie If, or IF, Imaginary Friends. And that's, it's part animated, part live, and it's a really neat movie. And it's about little kids who have their imaginary friends, and as they grow older, they lose their imaginary friends. So it's a great story. And then after, what we do is we watch the movie, and then we just have some discussion afterwards about some meanings to it, what we got out of it, and all that. And then also we have our first turkey time. This was a tradition created by Reverend Jim Chandler, the founder of Center for Spiritual Living Denver, and we have been doing it. He always called it the first turkey of the season. So we always do it the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and we will have it here again. And instead, in lieu of a Sunday service, we will just, so bring something to share. The practitioners and Reverend Elzia are going to bring like the main part, so you can just bring like a side dish or dessert or whatever, and we will just have plenty and have a discussion and just have a wonderful time, just communicating and loving in our community. Let's see, we did not receive our newest Science of Mind magazines. They will be coming out hopefully soon this week's mail. So right now we have the September, October, and some older ones. Those are free. So next week we will have the November, December ones available for sale for $7. And if you would like to hear some good news of the world, to affirm the good in the world, we have a link on our Facebook page called And Now the Good News. This program is put together by New Thought Media Network, and it's put on our Facebook page. I'm not sure if it's, well, anyway, just go to our Facebook page anytime during the week. It's live, or it has at 5 o'clock on Friday evenings, but you can watch it anytime. Just go to our Facebook page, click on, because right now we need a lot of good news. So these are just some great times to watch the show and stuff. And New Thought Media Network has over 40 hours of weekly broadcast programs, and we invite you to go to www.ntmedia.org. They've got something for everything. They've got morning and evening prayer. Is it still at 8:15 a.m. and p.m.? And it's just again a time to just sit in a prayer and revel in that. And there's just all kinds of programs that are in English and Spanish. So that's it. So we are so truly blessed by everyone who has chosen to support CSL Denver by showing up on Sundays or watching us online. So let's close out with Karen Drucker's I Am So Grateful.
Hey, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. I'm so grateful. I'm so